They handed me an eviction notice. But the house wasn't the only thing my landlord was about to lose. I stood frozen as Richard smiled and folded his arms. "You have 24 hours to get out," he said. "Or the sheriff will do it for you." My hand shook, but not because I believed him. It was because I realized the man I had trusted had been planning this for months. After my husband died, I rented Richard's small house to rebuild my life. I paid every month's rent early, kept the property spotless, and never complained. Richard acted kind at first. "You're the best tenant I've ever had," he always said. Looking back, I realize he wasn't being nice. He was waiting for the perfect moment. Everything changed when he claimed I had stopped paying rent. I immediately showed him my bank transfers. "They're fake," he said without even looking. "Pay me again or you're out." I refused. Within days, my water was mysteriously disconnected. The heating stopped working. He entered my backyard while I was away and later accused me of damaging the fence. Every week another fake repair bill appeared. Soon he claimed I owed him thousands of dollars. Living alone, I almost believed no one would ever listen to me. One night I cried until sunrise, staring at my husband's photograph. "I don't know if I can fight this," I whispered. Then I remembered something he always told me. The truth doesn't need a loud voice. It only needs proof. The next morning I stopped acting like a victim. Every payment receipt was printed. Every text message was saved. I installed legal security cameras. I kept a notebook of every conversation and every time Richard stepped onto my property without permission. A week later, an elderly neighbor knocked on my door. "You're not the first," she quietly said. She introduced me to two former tenants. Both had almost identical stories. Richard had invented damages, stolen their deposits, threatened them with fake evictions, and forced them to leave before they could fight back. This wasn't bad luck. It was his business. We stayed silent. Richard became even more confident. Finally, he marched into my house holding official-looking papers. "You've lost," he laughed. "Pack your things." I looked him in the eyes and smiled for the first time in weeks. "No, Richard," I said calmly. "You just made your biggest mistake." He didn't know I had already filed complaints with the housing authority. My lawyer had gathered statements from former tenants, copies of my bank records, security footage of Richard entering my property illegally, and evidence that several repair invoices had been fabricated. At the hearing, Richard walked in smiling. 20 minutes later, he wasn't smiling anymore. Every lie collapsed. The judge compared my payment records with Richard's claims. The videos exposed his illegal entries. Former tenants described the exact same scam under oath. Even one contractor admitted Richard had asked him to create fake repair estimates for damage that never existed. The courtroom fell silent. The judge ruled that the eviction was fraudulent and ordered Richard to compensate me for my legal costs, emotional damages, and every dollar he had tried to steal. But it didn't end there. The investigation uncovered years of similar fraud against other tenants. Richard lost his rental license, faced multiple civil claims, and was forced to sell several properties to repay the people he had cheated. A month later, I walked past the same house where he had once threatened to throw me onto the street. A new owner was repairing it for families who truly needed a safe home. Richard sat alone on a bench across the road, watching strangers unlock doors that had once made him feel powerful. He looked at me for a moment, then lowered his head. He had tried to take my home through fear. Instead, he lost his business, his reputation, and everything he believed money could protect. As for me, I finally understood that courage isn't refusing to feel afraid. It's choosing to stand your ground until the truth does what fear never can. And in the end, justice gave me something far greater than revenge. It gave me my life back.